Do you recognize this lake? Lake of the Isles, mostly a large wetland before it was dredged a century ago, and now some folks want to return the Minneapolis lake to its glory days.
They're trying to make Lake of the Isles healthy again. Sven checks it out in this week's Simply Science.
We sometimes take for granted the Great Lakes in the city of Minneapolis.
The Minneapolis Park Board undertook this whole project.
The project is that of restoring Lake of the Isles back to a more natural state than what it has become.
Part of it was to restore the shoreline and make sure we don't have erosion problems. So they wanted a good buffer around the edge just to stabilize the shoreline so it doesn't erode. But we'll get more of a shrub and tree diversity through the whole thing, kind of to put it back to the way it was. There's a considerable amount of elderberry all through this island.
Mark Simonson of Prairie Restorations and his crew are helping in restoring the lake's shoreline and its islands that give the lake its name.
I think 4 or 5 or more years ago they had a big blowdown that came through this area, and it took out many of the ash trees, willows, most of the mature trees. And it kind of exposed this area, gave it more sun.
With many mature native trees knocked over in a storm, a few pests decided to take over.
So we got a response from buckthorn came up, and then what happened was we also, after it was opened up, we got nightshade that came in, which is kind of a pretty plant, but the problem is it grows so thick it kind of shaded everything else out underneath. So what's going to happen with this is we're going to control the nightshade, control the buckthorn, which Minneapolis Forestry is working on.
They control those plants by putting down natural fiber mats made of coconut fiber that allows the native trees and shrubs they're planting to have a fair chance at the important sunshine.
I'd say over the next 3-4 years you'll really see it establish, and you'll have a native shoreline through the whole thing.
For Simply Science, I'm Sven Sundgaard.